Now it's time to find out what they need to do before this third test in Naruto episode 38. There's a small recap before we get to this grand reveal, and we get to know what it is they need to do is a preliminary before the third exam. In order to get to the battle portion, you must pass this preliminary. We have Shikamaru and Sakura who both question why they're going to be having this preliminary, and it's pretty simple. There is too many people left over. The first test, the second test were way too easy, and they need to try and eliminate some of them. And another really good point we get to hear from Hayat, and the reason they're doing these preliminaries, is that they're going to be having special guests, and they don't need these unnecessarily long matches. After Hayat has another one of his coughing spells, he asks just up front, those of you that want to drop out, please speak up now. And without any real warning, he says the preliminary will begin immediately. On the side, we get to hear Naruto sort of thinking to himself, he's going to try his best, he says, and for Kabuto too. And Hayata drops a bomb. Everything from now on is going to be individual battles. After letting them know that, yet again he invites them to feel free to drop out. We then get to see Sasuke, who's thinking to himself, who's going to quit? Pretty much immediately after him saying that, he begins to have pain from his curse mark. Sakura notices this and tries to invite Sasuke to go ahead and quit the preliminaries. We also have Naruto in the mix. Now, he was passed out that whole entire time, so he doesn't exactly know about this curse mark. All he hears is Bruce. As Sakura continues to tell Sasuke and why he should try to quit the preliminaries, this is where she suddenly goes back and has the flashback of everything that went down, and she starts crying and begging him once again, please quit. Naruto is still confused, but he's feeling pretty bad for Sakura. Sasuke, on the other hand, he seems pretty irritated. It turns out that Sakura and Naruto weren't the only two that saw Sasuke during this moment. It was also the Hokage, who says, I knew it. As the first proctor asks, what should we do, we get to hear Anko answer this. She says that Sasuke should have a Nabu Black Ops overwatching him, as well as he should be told to retire. As we hear what Anko thinks, Kakashi kind of cuts in here. He's not just the kind of type to just debate like that. He's in the Uchiha clan after all. Anko responds with, I'll stop him even if it means force, and then we get to hear the dramatic after effects of the curse mark. It's a prohibited jutsu that eats into the body of one who uses a jutsu. As Anko continues into this, she says he should really already be dead. As Anko tries to explain to Akage, we go back to Sakura still begging Sasuke to quit. He's in no condition to fight. And Sasuke ends up telling her to shut up. Even though Sasuke told her to shut up, she continues to beg him, and he keeps shutting her down, which Sakura switched to, I'm gonna snitch on you and tell the teachers about your bruise. In a moment's second, we see a shocked Naruto, and then right after, a hand is raised. To our surprises, this ends up being Kabuto, who says, excuse me, I'll quit. Just like that, his name's took off the list, and Kabuto begins to leave. But we hear Naruto yell out, Kabuto! Naruto continues by asking, why are you quitting? Kabuto then turns around to answer Naruto, so it turns out that he's worn out and he's not able to fight. And this goes back to the very first sucker punch against the Sound Village dude. His eardrum ended up getting busted in his left ear. Not only that, but he's afraid to put his life on the line. I can't go on. As we see Naruto kind of understand what's going on, we have Sasuke who is staring at Kabuto, as well as we hear the Hokage say, hey, he seems familiar. And as he goes on, he recalls that he dropped out of the main battle before as well. The Hokage's thinking, what in the world is this guy doing just giving up? Akko then brings out the document to show that he has failed 6 times straight. The Hokage is then interested in his background. Anko goes on to basically say there wasn't anything too special about him. He had to try 3 times to graduate, but besides that, nothing really stands out. But it seems this isn't all. Anko eyes over to the Kage and says, however, and the Kage's like, however? This is something that happened before the academy, and she brings up this story about one boy brought back from the Keiko Pass battle. The Kage says he remembers. Then he basically sums up the story. A enemy boy was found and taken back by a Jonin from the medical unit. That same boy is Kabuto. Now we go back to Kabuto, except this time we're hearing from one of his teammates which I don't think any of them have spoken up until this point. So this mass member says, "Don't take arbitrary action. Have you forgotten Orochimaru's orders?" Kabuto turns around and says, "I'll leave it to you guys. You in particular, Yoro." And we hear him say there should be no problems here with your ability. As the two continue, we kind of get to hear that Kabuto has some favoritism. Yoro is able to use this as a way to show his strength. And Kabuto ends this off with, "I understand you, Yoro, sir." Before Kabuto makes his leave, we get to see him wave back to Team 7 while smiling. And while Kabuto is exiting, we get to hear his thoughts. "Naruto, Sasuke, I wish I could play some more." And then he continues with this next dark thing. "The old me might get stirred up," he says. And Kabuto continues as he's walking. He says he's a spy, he's already served his purpose, and he talks about Orochimaru, and it gets revealed, in fact, that familiar face is Orochimaru morphed. This is sort of chilling. He talks about Sasuke and Naruto. I'll have some fun with you guys later. And we get to see this aura moment. So after Kabuto has made his leave, he ought to ask again, "Now then, there are no others who will quit." Sakura gets reminded to tell on Sasuke about his bruise. She begins to raise her hand, and Sasuke slaps her arm. It's where Sasuke's like, "Don't tell on me. Don't tell him about my bruise." Sakura begins to cry and break down. "Why are you acting so tough?" But Sasuke continues, "This has nothing to do with you." Sasuke says, "It's none of your business. I said it once before. I'm an Avenger. This isn't a mere test to me. I have nothing to do with this Chunin business. Am I strong? All I want is the answer to that." You see, Sasuke's here to fight the strong, and Sasuke continues where he left off. "I will not allow even you to take my path away from me," speaking to Sakura. Naruto has enough. He butts in. "Here is Sakura, worried about you." Sasuke then begins to interrupt him. "Naruto," he says, as he turns around, "I want to fight you too." Naruto is just took by surprise, and the two just sit there and stare at each other. Now we go back to the Kage. What Orochimaru said, it sits in his head. He's gonna let Sasuke do the test and see how it goes. As Anko begins to get upset, the Kage fires back. However, if his curse mark gets out of control or anything happens, you're to go in there and stop it. Still not exactly what Anko wanted, but she says, "I understand anyway." And the announcement starts. "Now then, we will begin the preliminaries." We're told that these will be battles, and of course, these are going to be in battle format. There are now exactly 20 people, so we will conduct 10 battles. The winners are going to be able to advance to the third exam. So this is great to know. There's no rules. You'll fight until someone dies, collapses, or admits defeat. We're also told that there's going to be judging calls in case a battle is happening. They don't want excessive bodies, so I will intervene and stop the match, or something to that effect. Really nice words. Hayata says, "This is the key to your destiny," looks over to Anko, and Anko on her little headset says, "Open it." A huge screen is revealed. The two people that are picked to fight will be displayed on this board. And the first names get picked. Naruto and everyone else is getting ready. All at once, we get to see it's Yoro versus Sasuke. So the pair is ready to fight. Sasuke is still having pain from his curse mark, but we get to see a lot of the people in this competition are just staring at Sasuke, and Hinata calls out, "Now then, the two displayed on the signboard come forward." So the pair walk up, there's no objections from either side, but we kind of get to hear what's going on in everyone's head going into this crowd. They're all kind of worried about Sasuke and what's going on with him. He is acting strange after all. Something to conclude, people are also wanting him to do his best, or even like Naruto, fight against him. Now, Hinata says, "It's time for the fight to start. Everyone other than the two foes, please move to the upper area." We watched as most of the crowd begins to go upstairs, but Team 7 is still down there, and Kakashi comes over, coming towards Sasuke, standing by his side while he is turned around. There he says, "Don't use the Sharingan." Sasuke gets a bit shocked. "So you know?" And then Kakashi goes on. He knows about his curse mark. It could endanger your life, is what he tells Sasuke. This is where Kakashi tells Sasuke that it'll be called off. I'll be coming in to stop it, so good luck. After Kakashi's made it past Sasuke, there he's like, oh wait, what? Kind of shook up a little bit. Called off? And he's starting to notice something and understand. It seems the curse mark thing is responding to my chakra. And this takes Sasuke to a flashback of whenever he's using his Sharingan and his curse mark was beginning to hurt. And he's got it figured. I can hardly use even my regular jutsu, not to mention the Sharingan. We get to see as Orochimaru is watching from above, and we get to hear what his thoughts are. However, Yoro's ability is the worst for you, Sasuke, he says to himself. Finally, the ring is ready. Hinata calls it. Now then, please begin. Right out the gate, we get to see Yoro build chakra up into one of his hands, and at the same time, pull something out of his pouch. Yoro throws shurikens, while Sasuke throws a kunai knife, deflecting them. Right after, Sasuke's curse mark begins to light up. This causes a pain, and he loses his balance and falls down. In a sudden second, Yoro dodges the shurikens. This is where Sasuke is like, wait, what? And he suddenly appears right behind Sasuke and goes down, getting ready to get at him, but Sasuke dodges to the side while still on the ground. Sasuke responds to this by stabbing his kunai knife into the ground while he's still down there. He takes it, and then he begins to kick both the foot of Yoro and his knee. This knocks Yoro down, and then you see Sasuke put him into a submission hold. Naruto begins to cheer, Sasuke, you did it! Then we hear Yoro laugh. He grabs onto Sasuke, and we see the same chakra that he was charging up earlier start to appear. We got to see as Sasuke had the strength pulled out of him. Yoro, to get out of the hold, ended up elbowing Sasuke. Now he's up. Yoro then charges in. Sasuke begins to get up, and this is where he charges up again on Sasuke's head. And this is where we end the episode. Yoro continues to keep his hold on Sasuke, and he just drops to the ground completely, even his arms. And Sasuke notices it. Something to do with his chakra. Yoro makes a comment, ah, so you just now notice. And we know what this means. He's getting his chakra drained. Not to spoil anything, but I just wanted to say we're at some really fun stuff. Lots of great things and surprises to come. Now, going into this episode, there's a lot of chatter going on, but at least it pertains to the story. Kabuto backstory about him being discovered after a battle, and he is an enemy, and the villagers took him in as a young boy. Now, that is something not expected at all. Also, him dropping out was the other thing. Now, we have Sasuke versus Yoro as the big first battle, and there is a thing that we need to watch out for, is if his curse mark starts to activate, well, he's out of here. They're going to go out there and get him out. Kakashi already told him, hey, I'll come in there myself, take you out of here, which is something we got to watch out for. We definitely got to watch out for that. And it's looking interesting. Yoro, on the other hand, another character from that Orochimaru Goons, he has a really cool power. I feel like, it may sound pretty boring to some people, but draining chakra is got to be pretty fearsome, and we've got to see how maybe Sasuke comes out of this, or he just gets obliterated by him. Anyway, if I had to rate this episode, I'm going to say it's a nice 8-8. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on Naruto episode 38. I hope you guys stay safe, and until next time, peace out, guys.